Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our streamer podcast, and this is episode 3, and today we have a special guest with us. My name is Gael Level.
My name is Joe Billy.
Today we have a guest with us that is going to talk about his story, basically. He's a streamer, and I don't want to give too much away, but we have Dar with us. Dar, how are you doing?
I'm just fine. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. What made you decide to start streaming?
It's kind of a combination of reasons, as I suppose is true with everybody else. I graduated from a technical school 2 years ago, and I have a degree in computer programming, basically, without getting into too many of the details. And I work part-time now as a web developer for an IT contractor who focuses on charities, mostly battered women's shelters, shelters for families and things like that. And I sort of have some ulterior sort of side motivation as well. I mean, it represents something I can fit into my schedule because I only work part-time right now, and I'm not seeking full-time employment because of a couple of different health issues. But then beyond that, it could also represent something that I'm going to turn into a development opportunity because I have multiple development ideas in the back of my head. I thought about developing a bot. I thought about developing a couple different games with a couple friends of mine that I've talked to around here. So there's kind of a whole host of reasons, and streaming dovetails with all those things that I'm considering at this point. And then it also fits my hobbies as a nerd. I mean, my first game system was a straight up first generation Game Boy. So, I mean, I've been at it for a long time. Well, I have the ability to put together a full-time streaming schedule. There are way too many things that I want to stream right now. I haven't put together, what I intend to do is have like a fixed game that I stream during the day.
Yeah. Which
I haven't decided on. And then variety streams at night. But it's a little bit in flux right now. And that's, kind of something that it gives me freedom, but at the same time, I think it's a hindrance too. So I don't know.
Dar, this is something that me and Gail talked about in a podcast before. I think we talked about it, Gail, kind of finding out what kind of streamer you are, the kind of games that you want to, play that will draw a certain audience. Dar, what's your favorite game right now to stream?
That's a great
question. So many, I know. It's so hard.
I guess right now it's probably a toss-up between I play World of Tanks and Overwatch on the Xbox One, but that doesn't necessarily mean that something else couldn't rear its head and be like,
of course,
this is what I meant to stream, I guess. Well, streaming World of Tanks has been interesting. Within the first month, I had regular visitors from throughout the United States. I mean, the game doesn't have as much of a following in the US as it does overseas, but now one of my regulars is from England, one is from Germany, one's from South Africa. There was definitely an international feel right away, and it's been very good. I mean, my worry was that streaming something competitive like an Overwatch or like a World of Tanks would draw in a certain amount of trolls, and that hasn't really been the case yet. I mean, I've been streaming for 6 months, 7 months now, and I think we've timed out one person so far. So I mean, it's gone well. I mean, I used to deal blackjack when I was in my younger days, and so I like to think that I'm well versed at dealing with trolls, and that nobody can throw anything at me that would be surprising, at least not from behind a keyboard.
What's your long-term goal in streaming?
Okay. Well, it's kind of twofold. Because of the flux in my usual standard employment, with the web development that I do.
Absolutely.
It's a very feast or famine sort of thing. I haven't had a contract for over a month now, and not for lack of trying. So I want to develop a schedule where I can stream full time and then take on contracts on the side, just because beyond streaming, which is already an expensive hobby, I build my own computers, and I have a side interest in photography, and none of these things come cheap. So it's I
So
wanted
the
to.
experience is there. I mean, you do have the tools, you do have the know-how.
No, I do. And I eventually wanted to overtake my full-time commitments and become something that I do full-time because it fits well with my health concerns and my part-time work schedule. But then also, I think once I settle on a technical project of my own, be it a bot or a game, I think my own stream would be a good platform to market whatever I come up with and develop it in such a way that it's useful to those of us who are streamers or consumers of streaming, viewers, if you will.
Obviously, there's a lot of streamers on Twitch, and not just Twitch. You know, I think there's like YouTube Gaming, Hitbox. There's a streaming service called Beam that I actually have been using. What would be your reason why people should go and watch IamDar, your channel? You know, what makes you different from the other 10,000 streamers out there?
That's the hardest question ever.
I know, right? I can really think of them.
I feel the piranhas nipping at my feet, just throwing me straight into the tank. Well, it's everybody is, every streamer is certainly unique, and I feel that where I excel in streaming, I understand both sides of gaming, be it from the programming side or from the consumer side, and I think going forward that puts me in a unique position to look at and kind of critique and discuss games and things like that. And when it comes to a game like World of Tanks or like even Overwatch to a lesser degree, I have a very technical side that looks at different elements of the game, and I can discuss ad nauseam why I prefer, say, my T110 E5 versus my IS7, which are both two tanks, just as an example. So, I mean, I think I have a unique vantage point. And then beyond that, I mean, I used to be a blackjack dealer, so I have all the comebacks in the world. And I'm used to talking ad nauseum. A lot of small streamers, and God bless them, a lot of small streamers try to combat dead air by just going, now I'm jumping, boing, boing, boing. Now I'm shooting, bang, bang, bang. And, I mean, I get that.
I'm not blind.
Right? I mean,
Actually,
I
it's funny because I have one follower, and for some reason, he cannot watch my streams. He can only listen to audio. So it's really funny because the chat's kind of telling him what's happening. I occasionally will commentate what I'm physically doing in the game to kind of help him out, because it's sad. Dar, I watch your stream quite often, actually. You don't talk nonstop, but you have this way of just keeping people engaged.
It all stems back to where I was when I was dealing blackjack, because I mean, there came a time where I really didn't care for the job and I wanted to move on, and I realized that when I was in that place, I was dealing with my head down and not talking and things like that. And after 7 years, I had developed a certain skill in doing what I had to do and talking as I did it. And I think that translates well, albeit a little indirectly, but I think it translates well to streaming in general.
Yeah, so you would say you can't just start streaming and expect to be the most entertaining person ever. So it takes practice to keep your viewers engaged. Would you agree with that?
Oh, it's definitely a learned skill, but it's not as hard as, it shouldn't seem like a just tremendous task. I mean, a lot of what I've learned so far just came from basic conversation with people who are watching. Hey, what's going on? How are you doing? Why do you play this game? What tanks do you have? You just find little things like that. And then, the moments where you can inject your shtick will just kind of come along as you play the game, or as somebody says, wow, that was a really dumb move you just did, or something like that. I mean, so it just kind of develops as you go on, and you just sort of work naturally into it, and it kind of builds and builds, and you learn and progress. We wanted to talk about tips a little bit and things I've learned, I guess. One of the streamers I've leaned on for information who has partnered said that a good way to build up a little bit of viewership, I mean, aside from all the other things you would normally think of, like leveraging social media and catching raids and things like that, is to sort of ingratiate yourself with the relevant streamers to your game. So like, if you're streaming, say, Overwatch, you find some streamers who have enough viewers that they're partnered, but not so many that your chat messages will be buried.
Yeah.
So then you can kind of create an interaction and kind of find like-minded people. So, he said something like the 100 to 150 average viewer range. So seeking out those streams and going in there and seeing what makes them work and talking to other people was kind of a good way to get more viewers for your own stream. So kind of
So is that mainly what you do for networking and advertising your stream?
For the most part, yeah. I have a few partnered streams that I follow, a couple that I subscribe to, and I try to pick my spots where I ask the streamers questions, because I'm sure I have no understanding of how busy they are, but I try to ask like simple and yet somehow kind of thought-provoking questions to try and get the information that I'm looking for. And then through that, I like to think that if you figure out a way to ask your questions in kind of a unique fashion, you separate yourself from all the other streamers who are coming into their channel and asking all the same questions. How do I grow my stream? What do I need to know about branding? What should I do on social media? So just trying to make your questions and your time that you have with more successful streamers a little bit unique, I think has been helpful for me.
Awesome, really. Yeah, thank you so much, Dar, for taking time to come spend the moment here with me and Gail on the podcast here. I think that's going to do it.
Yeah,
it's no problem.
That's about it. Thank you so much, Dar, for coming in. Thank you, Joe, Billy. And I think that concludes our third episode for this podcast. So thank you, everyone, for stopping by, and we'll see you on the next one.
Go check out Dar.
Twitch.tv/IamDar.
Good job.